The lantern at the end of Fern Row. Fern Row was a dead-end street, forgotten by the city that had once charted it. Overgrown hedges curled over rusted fences, and moss-blackened bricks sagged behind ivy to stubble to die. Only 4 houses remained, all empty, all decaying, but at the farthest edge stood one last structure, untouched by time. It was a modest 2-story home, with shuttered windows and a crooked weather vane shaped like a lantern. At its porch, each night, without fail, a dim yellow glow would pulse behind the frosted glass of the hanging lantern, though no electricity had touched the street in decades. People said the house watched. Growing up nearby, Evelyn Quinn had heard every variation of the myth. The lantern never flickered in storm or wind. Dogs refused to walk past it. Mail vanished inside the slot and was never seen again. Some, said a caretaker, still lived their old, quiet, never seen in daylight. Others swore that the light marked the time of death for someone nearby. But all agreed on one rule: never knock after dark. When Evelyn's grandmother died, she left her that very house. The will was brief, almost clinical. To Evelyn, I leave the house on Fern Row. She knows why. Evelyn didn't. She had never been inside, had never even approached it. But the lawyer S, Tone, and her mother S, Silence, confirmed what Evelyn had always sensed. The house had chosen her, not the other way around. She arrived on a wet Tuesday, clouds low and yellow with coming rain. The key was old and ornate, shaped like a thorn, and turned with a mechanical groan. The door swung inward on its own. Inside, the house was clean, not just dusted but prepared. Furniture covered in sheets, floors waxed, not a single cobweb in the corners. There was no smell of mildew or neglect. Instead, the faint scent of myrrh and dry paper. On a hallway, tables set a single candle, already lit, beside a folded note. Welcome. Do not extinguish the lantern. EQ. The handwriting was hers, her own. The electricity didn't work. She didn't try her phone. She knew it wouldn't respond. The house held an air of refusal, as if anything outside its memory would be swallowed. She walked slowly, guided by flickering wall sconces that lit as she approached. Each room was staged with strange symmetry. Chairs placed at exact angles, curtains tied in precise knots, mirrors covered by black cloth upstairs. She found the master bedroom untouched, since some forgotten decade, except for the mirror above the dresser. In its surface, she saw not herself but the back of her own head. A trick, she thought. A flaw. Yet, when she turned, the room was empty. Only her reflection held a figure standing behind her. She spent the night in a smaller guest room, unable to sleep. Outside the window, the lantern flickered in and out of sight through the trees. Pew! She thought she'd heard footsteps on the porch. More than once, she held her breath and listened for the creak of the stair. Boom. Nothing came. Until 3:17 a.m. A knock. Soft, deliberate. Just 3 taps. She froze. Heart, breath sharp. Another knock. Loud this time. Evelyn didn't move, didn't breathe. The final knock was the sound of bone against wood. When morning came, the house was warmer, brighter, as if it approved of her stillness. She found a new note downstairs on the table, beside a steaming cup of tea she hadn't made. Very good. Obedience is memory. Memory is dead. EQ the days blur. Evelyn stopped using clocks. She moved like someone rehearsing a role she hadn't learned. The house changed subtly rooms, extended by inches. Hallways grew darker at dusk. One morning, the guest room she had slept in vanished, replaced by a blank wall. Another night, she found a new door beneath the staircase, which opened into a narrow passage that led nowhere but echoed, as if filled with distant voices. She began keeping a journal. Her entries were shaky, confused. I hear whispers in the mirror now. B, remember me before I was born. The tea is always warm, but I don't know who makes it. The lantern isn't outside anymore. It's in my dream. Go. On the 7th night, it rained hard enough to drown sound. Wine screamed through the broken branches of Fern Row, and the lantern glowed brighter than ever golden, steady, unwavering. At 3:17 a.m. Evelyn stood by the door, waiting. No. Instead, a voice, her own, from the other side. You can come in now. I've prepared everything. The door opened before she touched it. Outside was not the street, not the rain, not the world she knew. It was a hallway of mirrors stretching endlessly in both directions, lit by flickering lanterns hung from unseen ceilings. Each mirror held an Evelyn, some older, some younger, some disfigured, some beautiful, all watching, all silent. At the end of the hall stood a woman with Evelyn's face, but eyes like black fire. You've returned, the woman said, smiling. We've missed you. I don't understand, Evelyn said, but the words felt like a lie. You were the first, said the woman, and the last. The lantern was never for light. It was for finding your way back. Evelyn stepped forward. The mirrors rippled. The hallway breathed. What is this place? She whispered. The other Evelyn touched her chest home. Behind her, the lantern she had followed began to fade. I won't remember this, will I? You never do, said the woman. But the house will. The light went out. When the neighbors walked past the house weeks later, they said the same thing they always did. The lantern had returned, just as before, faint, constant, watching. No one had seen the woman who moved in. No one had seen her leave. But sometimes, just after midnight, if you walk past the end of Fern Row, and the wind is just right, you can hear the door creak open, and a voice off, gentle, familiar whispering. I've prepared everything.